Dear student, today we will discuss anti-gout drugs which is used for the treatment of gout. First we will discuss what is gout. Gout is a metabolic disorder which is characterized by hyperuricemia. It means level of uric acid is being increased in our blood, which is further deposited, or we can say precipitated, in the joints, kidney and some tissues. When it will be deposited in the joints becomes inflamed, red, and it will cause pain as well. Apart from this hyperuricemia, in the case of gout, there are other cases when the uric acid is being increased in our blood, that is known as secondary hyperuricemia, that mainly occurs during cancer therapy, mainly leukemias, lymphomas and polycythemia. In the cancer therapy, it will be increased due to the enhanced nucleic acid metabolism and uric acid production. Hyperuricemia maybe occurs in some drug induced like thiazides, furosemide, pyrazinamide, ethambutol and levodopa. It will reduce uric acid excretion by kidney, and when this uric acid is not excreted from the body, it will get deposited somewhere in our joints, kidney and other tissues. Gout is of two types: acute gout and chronic gout. First we will see the acute gout. Acute gout is sudden onset of severe inflammation, mainly in small joints. Why this inflammation occurs in the joints? As we have discussed, the level of uric acid is being increased and it will get deposited in the form of urate crystals, and the most affected joints are the small joints like metatarsophalangeal joints of great toes. What happened? How come we know that this is gout? Symptoms of gout: the joint becomes red, swollen and extremely painful, which will requires the immediate treatment. These are the symptoms of acute gout. There are some inflammatory processes occurs during the acute gout. These processes summarized here. We'll discuss what are the processes, what are the steps occurs during the gout, how come the joints become red, swollen and inflamed. The first stage is the granulocyte migration into the joints. When the granulocyte migrates into the joints, they will phagocytose the urate crystals and releases a glycoprotein aggregates, and that cause the inflammation. Due to this phagocytosis of urate crystals, two symptoms, or we can say the two mechanisms occurs. The first one is the increasing lactic acid production from the inflammatory cells, and the second one is the releasing lysosomal enzymes which causes the joint destruction. What happened when the lactic acid production is there? Lactic acid increases the local pH, or we can say the local pH is reduced. More urate crystals are precipitated in the affected joints, and when the uric acid crystals are deposited in the joints, it will cause pain, inflammation and redness in those joints. Second is the chronic gout. The symptoms are similar to the acute gout. Why we are saying it chronic? Chronic means for the longer duration of time, when the pain and stiffness persist in a joint, which occurs during the acute attacks. If it will persist for a longer duration of time, it will become chronic gout. The clinical features of chronic gout is similar, that is hyperuricemia. Toffee means chalk-like stones under the skin in pinna, eyelids, nose and around the joints. Sometimes urate stones are being formed in the kidneys that may cause progressive disability and permanent deformities in the joints. This is all about the chronic gout. Now the drugs which are being used in the gout. For the treatment of acute gout and chronic gout, different drugs are there which are being prescribed by the physicians. In the case of acute gout, NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So many drugs are there in this class. Second drug is the colchicine, and the third one is the corticosteroids. These three are being administered in case of acute gout. In case of chronic gout, two ways are there to treat the symptoms. First one is the uricosurics, and the second one is the uric acid synthesis inhibitor. As we have discussed, that uric acid secretion is more, which are being deposited in the joints. The first process to treat the chronic gout is the uricosurics. Examples of drug are probenecid, sulfipyrazone. And the second way, we can decrease the uric acid synthesis by the help of drug allopurinol and febuxostat. Now we'll discuss the therapy of acute gout. The first drug for the symptomatic relief are NSAIDs. These NSAIDs are quite effective in terminating the attack in 12 to 24 hours. It means it will provide symptomatic relief, and the drug of choice for this acute gout is naproxen, piroxicam, diclofenac and indomethacin. Etocoxib are also being used, but it is used as a relatively high dose and repeated dose. The duration of NSAIDs in acute gout, it is continued at lower dose for 3 to 4 weeks. But in the case of long term, it may cause the drug toxicity. Second drug, which is most useful in case of acute gout, is the colchicine, We'll discuss in detail. Colchicine is an alkaloid from Colchicum autumnale, which was used since 1763 to control the acute gout or the symptoms of acute gout. The important thing of this colchicine that it doesn't have the analgesic anti-inflammatory property. It doesn't have the capacity to inhibit the synthesis of uric acid. It doesn't have the effect on blood uric acid level. Then how come it will provide the relief in the case of acute gout? As we are seeing that it doesn't have the analgesic property, anti-inflammatory property, it doesn't inhibit the synthesis of uric acid, and these are the problems which occurs during the acute gout. There is a pain, there is inflammation, and this colchicine is not having the analgesic anti-inflammatory property. Though this drug is being used for the acute gout, we'll see how come. How colchicine provide the effect in the acute gout. It inhibits the release of chemotactic factors and of the glycoprotein, thus suppressing the subsequent event. In the last slide, we have discussed and seen that how come the inflammation occurs in the acute gout. These drugs binds to fibrillar protein tubulin, which inhibits granulocyte migration into the inflammation joints. And this was the first step in which granulocyte migrates into the joints. By this way, this colchicine provide the relief in case of acute gout. Colchicine is also having some other effects which are beneficial in case of acute gout. What are those? The first one is the antimitotic, causes metaphase arrest by inhibiting the microtubules of mitotic spindle, as well as it increases gut motility through neural mechanism. Pharmacokinetic of colchicine. This drug absorbed orally. There is a rapid absorption, mainly metabolized in the liver. It is excreted via the bile and disposed of from the urine and feces. Apart from therapeutic effect, colchicine is having some toxicity. Its toxicity is high and dose related. It means if you increase the dose, the toxicity will get increased. If you stop or reduce the dose, toxicity will get decreased. The major toxicity symptoms are nausea, vomiting, watery or bloody diarrhea, and abdominal cramps. It also inhibits the mitosis. Due to overdose of colchicine, it will cause the kidney damage, CNS depression, intestinal bleeding, muscular paralysis, and respiratory failure. These two problems due to the overdose may cause the death also. Long-term therapy with the colchicine is not recommended because it will cause aplastic anemia, agranulocytosis, myopathy, and loss of hairs. First line of drug was the NSAIDs. Second line is the colchicine, And the third line treatment of acute gout is the corticosteroids. These corticosteroids are not used generally in all the cases. It is only used when the NSAIDs and colchicines are intolerable in the patients. Orally it is not being used. It is used as intra-articular injection of a soluble steroid. As we have discussed, the oral administration is not in the therapy. Systemic steroids are rarely used or needed. It is reserved for the patient with the renal failure or history of peptic ulcer. The dose regimen of corticosteroids: prednisolone 40 to 60 mg in one day, followed by the tapering dose. Therapy of chronic gout: uricosuric drugs. This is the first choice. This is the probenecid. It promotes uric acid excretion, which was increased in case of gout, and if will increase the excretion of uric acid, automatically it will be reduced in the blood, and when the uric acid is being reduced, automatically the pain and inflammation is being relieved. Second drug for the therapy of chronic gout is uric acid synthesis inhibitor, and the first drug is allopurinol. It is a purine antimetabolite, act as competitive inhibitor of an enzyme xanthine oxidase. Xanthine oxidase is the enzyme which is responsible for uric acid synthesis, and when this xanthine oxidase is being inhibited, the further production of uric acid is automatically reduced. Apart from the direct effect of allopurinol, it is having a major metabolite, alloxanthine, which is more active than the allopurinol. The difference between the parent drug and metabolite: the parent drug was the competitive inhibitor of xanthine oxidase, but the alloxanthine is a non-competitive inhibitor, and allopurinol is the first choice of drug in chronic gout. How this uric acid being synthesized and how the allopurinol provides the effect, that we'll see in the chart. This hypoxanthine is being converted into the xanthine, and further xanthine is being converted into the uric acid, and this is the compound uric acid which is being increased in case of gout and being deposited into the joints and other parts of our system like kidney, tissues. Now we'll focus the first step, that is the hypoxanthine is being converted into the xanthine. This conversion takes place in the presence of an enzyme, that is the xanthine oxidase. This xanthine oxidase, if we will decrease the activity of xanthine oxidase by any way, further the uric acid will not get formed. That we will do with the help of drug allopurinol. Allopurinol acts on the xanthine oxidase. Apart from this allopurinol, the metabolite of allopurinol, alloxanthine, it's also acting on the xanthine oxidase. It means both this parent drug as well as the metabolite acting on the xanthine oxidase, inhibiting the effect of xanthine oxidase, by which further uric acid is not being formed. By this way, it will decrease the uric acid level in the blood, and automatically when the uric acid level is being decreased in our system, in our blood, it will not get deposited in the joints and other parts of our system. Therapy of chronic gout. With the second drug, febuxostat, it is a non-purine xanthine oxidase inhibitor. Again, this drug is also acting on the xanthine oxidase. It is equally or more effective than the allopurinol. This is not the first drug of choice. It is an alternative drug for treating symptomatic gout. It is only used in the patients which are intolerant to the allopurinol. It means we cannot use this drug to those patients which are first time suffering with the chronic gout, and they can use, or we can use this allopurinol in those patients. Next drug is the Resburisec. It is a new recombinant xanthine oxidase inhibitor. It is oxidized uric acid to soluble and easily excreted allantoin. It means it will act on the uric acid excretion, but this drug is only indicated for preventing chemotherapy associated hyperuricemia. In the first slide, we have discussed that the patients are under the chemotherapy, or you can say the cancer chemotherapy, are suffering with the hyperuricemia. This drug is only used in that case only. So, in this class we have discussed what is gout, forms of gout, how to treat the acute gout and chronic gout, signs and symptoms of acute and chronic gout, the drug of choice in case of acute as well as chronic gout. This is all about the treatment of gout with the anti-gout drugs. Thank you all of you. Good morning students. Today we will discuss anti-rheumatic drugs. What are anti-rheumatic drugs? All the drugs which can suppress rheumatoid process, brings about a remission and retard the disease progression. We can say these are anti-rheumatic drugs, but one thing is there, except corticosteroids, that drug should not be a corticosteroid. And one more clause is there, that is the drug should not have the non-specific anti-inflammatory or analgesic action. And these drugs are known as disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs, DMARDs, or slow acting anti-rheumatic drugs, that is SAARD. Before going ahead with the drugs, first we'll discuss few things about the rheumatoid arthritis. What is rheumatoid arthritis? It is an autoimmune disease in which there is a joint inflammation, synovial proliferation and destruction of articular cartilage. It means this is a disease of joints, but it is an autoimmune disease. Immune complex is composed of IgM, which activates, complements and release cytokines, mainly TNF alpha and interleukin 1, which are chemotactic for the neutrophils. The inflammatory cells secretes lysozyme enzymes which damage cartilage and erode bones. Apart from these, TNF alpha and IL-2, prostaglandins produced in this process which causes vasodilation and pain. And the clinical symptoms, as we have discussed, there is inflammation in the joints as well as pain. Goals of drug therapy. Whenever we will start the therapy, what should be the goal of your therapy? First is a symptomatic relief from the pain as well as from the inflammation. Whatever the drug we have to choose, this is our first and prime most important goal, that we have to ameliorate the pain, swelling and joint stiffness. And the second one is prevention of articular cartilage damage and bony erosion. Moreover, prevents the deformity and preserves joint function. What are the treatment options available? The first one is the introduction of NSAIDs. In the last class we have discussed the NSAIDs, their mode of action, examples. These NSAIDs are being introduced to control the symptoms of pain as well as the inflammation. When the pain and inflammation is being relieved, we have to add disease modifying anti-rheumatoid drugs. But these DMARDs should be added when the rheumatoid arthritis is confirmed based on the pathological report. More than one DMARD may also be used to control the disease process. Now let's discuss the drugs which are being utilized to control the rheumatoid arthritis. There are so many drugs which are classified accordingly. The first classification is the disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. Again it is subclassified into two. One is the non-biological drugs and the second one is the biological agents. Non-biological means it is synthesized in the laboratories, and biological agents which are already present in our system, we are introducing from outside. Non-biological drugs are again subclassified into four. First one, the immunosuppressants, as we have discussed in the last slide, that is it's a autoimmune disorder. Therefore, this immunosuppressant may be useful. Examples are methotrexate, azathioprine, cyclosporin, sulfasalazine, chloroquine and hydrochloroquine, leflunomide. Second classification is the biological agents. Examples are TNF alpha inhibitors and IL-1 antagonist, interleukin 1 antagonist. Apart from these, there are some drugs which we are adding to control the disease process or the disease symptoms. Those are corticosteroids, which should be added with these drugs. Next one, we will discuss one by one these drugs. What is the mode of action of these drugs? What should be the dose? What are the adverse events? First, we will discuss the methotrexate. As we discussed, an immunosuppressant. This activity related to the inhibition of cytokine production, chemotaxis, and cell-mediated immune reaction. The pharmacokinetic of this drug, it is orally absorbed, but its oral bioavailability is variable and may be affected by food. Onset of action is so long, that is 4 to 6 weeks. Probenecid and aspirin increases the methotrexate level and toxicity. It means the person who is on the methotrexate therapy should not be given aspirin. This aspirin is NSAIDs. As we have discussed, this is the first drug that we are introducing to control the signs and symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. Adverse events. Major adverse event is the oral ulceration and gastrointestinal upsets. Sometimes liver damage is also there, but this liver damage is dependent on the dose. If we will decrease the dose or if we will stop the dose, automatically this liver damage will be revived. Next one is the azathioprine. Again, it's a immunosuppressant of class purine synthase inhibitor. This azathioprine metabolite is active, that is 6-mercaptopurine. It also suppresses the inflammation. In few patients, remission is there. This azathioprine can be provided with the corticosteroid. Dose varies from 50 to 150 mg per day. One thing we have to note down here, that azathioprine should not be combined with the methotrexate. Next drug to control the rheumatoid arthritis is sulfasalazine. Mainly this drug is used in the ulcerative colitis, and it suppresses the rheumatoid arthritis significantly when it is provided to the patients. Therefore, this is used as a second line drug for the milder symptoms. Its mode of action is unknown, but the probability of the mode of action is generation of superoxide radicals and cytokine elaboration by the inflammatory cells may be suppressed. The dose of sulfasalazine varies from 1 to 3 gram per day. It should be given in 2 to 3 divided doses. Adverse events are common. Those are neutropenia, thrombocytopenia and hepatitis. Next drug, chloroquine and hydrochloroquine. Mainly this drug is anti-malarial. When it was used for the RA, it was found that there is a remission in up to 50% patients. Mechanism of action exactly not known, but the probability that it reduces monocyte interleukin 1 and consequently inhibiting beta lymphocyte. Apart from this, it will stabilize lysosomal stabilization and free radical scavenging activity. Hydroxychloroquine is preferred over the chloroquine based on its efficacy and the toxicity. To control the disease process, the dose of chloroquine is 150 mg per day, and for the hydroxychloroquine it is 400 mg per day for 4 to 6 weeks. Adverse events are very common, and those are rashes, graying of hair, irritable bowel syndrome, myopathy and neuropathy. Next drug which are being used to control the RA process, that is leflunomide. It is an immunomodulator, inhibits the proliferation of stimulated lymphocytes in RA patients. It's having an metabolite which is also active, which inhibits dihydroortate dehydrogenase and its pyrimidine synthesis. The half-life of its active metabolite is very long, that is 2 to 3 weeks. It means it will be there in our system for a long duration and provides its effect. Apart from this, we can say it depresses the antibody production by the beta cells. Adverse effects with this leflunomide is diarrhea, headache, nausea, rashes, loss of hair, thrombocytopenia and leukopenia. TNF alpha inhibitors, as we have discussed in the previous classes, that TNF alpha plays a key role in the inflammatory cascade of rheumatoid arthritis, or we can say the inflammation. TNF alpha inhibitors suppresses macrophages and T cell function. Therefore, inflammatory changes in the joints are regressed and the new erosion may be slowed down. With the TNF alpha inhibitors, if we will add DMARDs, its response is increases, and alone TNF alpha inhibitors having the quicker response than the previous non-biological DMARDs. This drug can be added with the methotrexates when the cases are having no response, are progressively increasing, but the patients who are on the TNF alpha inhibitors are susceptible for the opportunistic infections including tuberculosis, pneumocystis pneumonia and many more. Corticosteroids, this is the last option that we can add with the DMARDs to stop the rheumatoid arthritis process and to control the disease process. Corticosteroids are the potent immunosuppressant and having the anti-inflammatory property. It can be added along with the first line drug or second line drugs to control the arthritis process. When we are adding, it will provide a symptomatic relief very fast. One thing we have to note down here, that it do not arrest the rheumatoid process, but the joint destruction may be slowed, the bony erosion may also be delayed. How we are providing these corticosteroids? That intra-articular injection of a soluble glucocorticoid may be provided, but the long-term use is not recommended because it will cause the serious adverse events. This is all about the therapy of rheumatoid arthritis. In that we have discussed the first line drug, second line drug, DMARDs and when to add the corticosteroids. Thank you for the today class.